Anime is cool. That's something I never thought I'd say, but it's true. Anime is hot right now. In the year of 2023, we have certified studs like Mr. Michael B. Jordan talking about how Naruto Shippuden influenced him as an artiste. Nowadays, if you went outside fully decked out in shinobi swag and started Naruto running around, you'd probably get dapped up. You'd probably get some numbers from some interested single ladies. If you're a youngling who's grown up in Kono age of anime acceptance, this might not seem like a big deal to you, but young man, this was not always the case. When I was a kid, I lived for Naruto. Seriously, if you went back in time and gave 7-year-old Bang Reshi the opportunity to go on a date with his celebrity crush, the blonde girl from Bridge to Terabithia, he would take Samantha Terabithia on the best date of her life. And right as they would both experience their first kissu, 7-year-old Bang would substitution jutsu himself back home, and while Samantha Terabithia would be making out with a log, young Bang would watch that day's episode of Naruto on Jetix. If Samantha Terabithia, after realizing she's been making out with a log, went to 7-year-old Bang's house and begged him to come with her to Terabithia and to stop watching Naruto, young Bang would personally push that bitch into the river. That's how much he loved Naruto. And I know young Bang isn't the only kid who would have made this decision. This era, the 2000s, I would say that it was the golden era of shonen anime. And I don't mean that all the shonen anime released at that time were just way better than the anime before or after that time period. I just mean that at that time, the experience of watching shonen anime was at its peak. During this period, anime had finally started airing around the world, so millions of kids were witnessing the glory of anime for the first time. And it was pre-internet, so everything was fresh and new and exciting. Nothing, and I mean nothing, beats that first time you saw Naruto going Ninetales mode, or that first time you saw Goku out of nowhere become a literal golden god. Mommy, get the camera. I'm experiencing unprecedented levels of hype. At this time, I don't think the term weeb really existed, or at least I don't remember anyone using it. If you were an adult watching anime, I'm sure you would have gotten crucified. Nowadays, people joke about how we need to bring back bullying. Hell, I joke about it. But let's not forget that in the 2000s, if you deviated even 1 millimeter away from being the most wonder-bred individual imaginable, you would get socially slaughtered. If you publicly liked anime, people would probably have made fun of the size of your penis. But I don't think that back then there was the classic image of the weeb that we have now. At my school, I remember me and the boys, we all traded Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Pokemon cards, and we talked about Naruto, and it was chill. But maybe that was just because we were young. I don't know. I reckon it was during the cringe compilation boom of the early 2010s when people really started to have a fixed idea in their heads of the never showering, body pillow humping degenerate known as the Weeaboo. In the early 2010s, we all still had that 2000 shit on people mentality, and thanks to the internet, us regular Joes were getting exposed to the weirdest donnies on earth. I can legit remember watching these cringe comps with the boys back in homeroom. And I also specifically remember watching Weeaboo cringe comps. And while we were watching them Weeaboo cringe comps, I also specifically remember being at the front line, whipping out roasts, and talking about how bloody disgusting these freaks were. My friends believed I was a certified anime detester, a positively socially acceptable dementor, sucking out the souls of any waifu lover that crossed my path. What my friends didn't know is that while we were watching these cringe comps, I was sweating buckets, ladies and gentlemen. While we were making fun of these loser weebs, I was fighting for my life. I needed to make sure nobody knew that I liked anime. When I saw weebs acting a fool with katanas, I would shudder in my boots, cause secretly, I thought katanas were kinda cool. When I saw weebs going bad romance on an innocent body pillow, I would quiver in my pantaloons, cause I knew that deep inside of me, there was a lust for 2D mamacitas. Oh my God! I already told you guys that I was a Naruto loving boy, but I didn't really start watching anime till I got my own laptop. Right around the time weeb cringe comps were popping off, I too was going on a journey into the depths of the world of anime. Back then, there was no Crunchyroll or Netflix anime. I didn't know shit about what was good or bad. I just knew that I loved Naruto and I kinda wanted to see what else was out there. I'd go on sites with goofy ass titles like animegooch.ur or waifuwarlord.hj, and I would watch literally whatever they had on the front page. Bro, I watched Strike the Blood, Zero no Tsukaima, Tokyo Ravens, Magical Warfare, or should I say, Maho no Senso. Just trashy shows, man. And I kinda like them. All these influencers out there these days love to throb about being your authentic self and speaking your fucking truth. Good for you Donnies who've kept it 100 the second you left your mama's vagina. But me? When I was at school, yeah, I cared about being cool. I cared about my reputation. So no, I didn't tell anyone that I had a passion for digitally rendered titty mangas. For the longest time, I deleted these memories from my mind. A few years ago, if you asked me what I was doing on the internet between the years 2012 to 2014, I would have hit you with a, The reason for this repression is because of one incident. When I was younger, I had this one friend that we're gonna call L. L basically lived at my house on the weekends. He was my Halo 3 split-screen Minecraft and Call of Duty buddy. One day, like a gay priest sending signals to potential lovers at the monastery, I tried to give L a sign. I tried to let him know I was down to anime. I bought Catherine for the Xbox 360 and I went up to my homie like, yo, I got us a new game to play through, it's gonna be lit. Listen, L, I know these cutscenes, yuck. This art style, it's so uwu, like, what the cringe, am I right? But this puzzle gameplay, bro, this puzzle gameplay is something else. Fun fact, I don't give a shit about puzzle gameplay. L, he saw through my act. He must have seen the empty bottles of copium lying around my bedroom. He gave me this look of disgust. His eyes were like Glocks. He had already mentally drowned me in bleach and fed me to the dogs. He didn't need to say anything. The jig was up. He knew I was a filthy weeb. That very night, I went to my local park. And in the darkness, I deleted my browser history. I scrubbed my cookies. I buried my Lady Tsunade figurine, and I did the only thing I could. I busted one last nut. Instead of bringing life, the seed I had shot out took away. I jizzed out my weeb memories, my secret otaku desires. I gave myself post-nut amnesia. What followed was a dark period in my life. I spent my nights lashing myself while staring at my former 2D waifus. You don't love her. She isn't real. I needed to make sure my post-nut amnesia remained successful. During the days, if I saw a body of water, I would think back to when I metaphorically killed Samantha Terabithia in my youth. Is that where I went wrong? Sometimes. The fear. The guilt. It would be too much. Samantha! I'm sorry! Take me to Terabithia! There are two things I blame for the golden age of weebery. The first is suburban America. I spent a good chunk of time in America, and there are things that I understand now that I didn't before spending time in the US of A. In suburban America, there's just not that much shit to do. And when there ain't that much shit to do, you start getting weird. Boredom is the mother of degeneracy. Did you know that the American Midwest is cold as balls for like 95% of the year? I didn't. For 95% of the year, my Midwestern brethren are sat inside their bedrooms eating Doritos and microwave chicken pot pie, bored as fuck with nothing to do except go on their computer. That's how degeneracy begins, ladies and gentlemen. At first, it's lol gag memes, then it's gag memes, then it's pictures of gagging, and then it's official gagging on furry penis tutorials. I bet that 80% of all furries, wolfkins, dragonkins, fedorakins, maggot girls, and golden age weebs, I bet that 80% of them come from the American Midwest. And I feel for them. It's not their fault. Cold weather is one of humanity's biggest L's. The other thing I blame is Sword Art Online. Watching Naruto does not do this to a man. If anything, shonen anime creates gym bros. It creates male body dysmorphia. Nah. It's harem anime. It's Kirito-Q. It's top 10 best aggressive ecchi anime ever that creates this behavior. Puja, what is this behavior? The genesis, the seed of such debauchery, has to be Sword Art Online. If you don't know, Sword Art Online is an anime that masquerades as a cool guy anime, with the fighting and the dying and the stabbing. But episode by episode, the anime just devolves into complete harem garbage. By the end of season 2, all Kirito-kun has to do is breathe to get an absolute body slobbering over his sword cock offline. Sword Art Online was in fact my first introduction to Wincest. Yes, if you didn't know, one of Kirito's concubines is his relative. For half a season, Sword Art Online builds up a classic brother-sister romance, but then right as this incestuous climax is reaching its climax, SAO hits you with a psych! Don't worry you guys, the younger sister that has a crush on Kirito, don't worry, she's not his actual sister, she's only his first cousin. When Sword Art Online came out, it took over the anime world and it spawned countless harem knockoffs. All these things, you know, the weeb cringe comps, the release of Sword Art Online, the American Midwest, they were all happening at the same time. It's crazy because the internet was definitely super important in anime popping off, but it's also definitely responsible for anime getting a bad social rep and causing the weeb shit show of the early 2010s. You guys kind of know what happened after the golden age of weebery. Cringe went out of fashion, and I don't know, people just realized that anime is fire. Nowadays, we got designer brands repping shonen protagonists and anime-based hip-hop bangers. It's a good time to be a weeb. To be fair, the quality of anime has also just gone sicko mode. Vinland Saga, for example, is legitimate art. Hang that shit up in the Met, President Joe Biden. It took time for me to get over my trauma, but I did. And in the year 2023, I am a proud and open weeaboo. I am such a weeb, in fact, that I actually lived and studied in Japan for a little bit, and it was during this period where I developed my golden age weeb hypothesis. While in Japan, the other foreigners I encountered were either the coolest people I've ever met or physical manifestations of golden age weebs that before I had only seen on the internet. I really don't mean to overly bash on any of you classic weebs either. I love my suburban brethren. Beneath the outer layer of cringe, classic weebs are nice enough people. They just take things too far. One dude in my dorm in Tokyo, he would stay inside all day and play Persona 5. Bro, Persona 5 is literally outside your window. Go outside, my guy, and experience Persona 5 in the flesh. For some reason, the classic weebs I met also really hated Japanese food. Persona 5 guy, he refused to eat anything that wasn't chicken nuggets and french fries. There was this other bowl-cut slender man looking Donnie who would order Domino's every day. Now Domino's in Japan is expensive, it's like $30 for a pizza, and he would get this every single day. In Tokyo, you can literally get Michelin star food for $15. You can get the best bowl of ramen that you've ever had for $6 dingoes. And ramen, sugoi, kimochi? You would think that that would be a much more weeaboo meal. But these gentlemen, I don't know, they just love fast food. They weren't even particularly big boys either. Just one of the paradoxes of weebhood, I suppose. Meeting true filthy weebs in the flesh, it really made me think. It made me look inward. The deeper I look, the more I realize how much of a weeb I truly am. Whether it's a good or a bad thing, I do care about what people think. And I wonder how much that has overrode the weeb tendencies dormant in my genetic code. I honestly believe that within me, there is a man who is filthier than any weeb the world has ever seen. Sometimes, I'll test myself. I'll look at not even an erotic drawing, just a 2D woman drawn tastefully and elegantly. I'll look at the drawing and push myself, see if I lose control, see if I can contain the raw lust within. Sometimes when I go drinking, the other man, he takes control and it scares me. Even thinking about it, I feel myself slipping. If I let him take control, I don't think this version of me would come back. My hips, I don't think they could handle the years of repressed dry humping being unleashed upon this physical realm. I've thought long and hard about this, and I think that if I was born in Minnesota, there would have been two paths for me to follow. I think I would have either become a full-blown mega weeb, or I would have really gotten into baseball and become a kind of douchey jock. Sorega ore no Minnesota multiverse of madness. The only question left is, if you were born in Minnesota, who would you be?